Jai. Prihat Mridanga, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Go Premanandi. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna. All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunjavi Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Guna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Oh Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Radha Kalachandji Radha Kalachandji Radhe. Jaya Radha Kalachandji Radha Kalachandji Radhe. Gaura Haribo, 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 Go Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Go Haribo. Jai Govindanandi. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, as I understand it, we're reading a few verses, right? 19 to 30, was it? Okay. Okay. Or we'll come back to it. Okay. So, this is Om Gyanatamurandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Jakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Didati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru and Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakanvitam Sa Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tsarubhyasa Kipasindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ma Om Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatade Satarane Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktavindag Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I guess you've been studying all of this day after day. So I'm the new guy on the block here. I haven't been studying this so much, but it's such a wonderful section. This is the appearance of the demon, Vritrasura. Of course, we know he's not actually a demon. Bhagavatam is full of surprises like that, reversals. Bhagavatam's constantly reversing the order of how we think we perceive things, what is higher and what is lower. So we've heard how Indra killed Vishvarup, right? Out of fear for his life, that they would be succumbed, they'd be taken over by the demons. And his father Twashta retaliated and performed a sacrifice, and this monstrous demon appeared. Of course, at this point in the story, we don't know the backstory on Vritrasura. Yeah, right. That comes later. So now we're going to read. So he was the son of Vritrasura, or of Twasta. Vritrasura. Said he was called Vritra because he covered everything. So when the demigods, headed by Indra, saw this, they began to pray. This is, anyway, we'll talk about it. I upset the balance there. Okay. So this is text 19. We'll just read the English. Well, I don't know. I can hear. Krishna can hear, I guess. So text 19. The demigods, headed by Indra, charged the demon with their soldiers, striking him with their own transcendental bows. That's interesting. They're called Divyastra, divine astras that they have, and they're striking this demon with them, with their bows and arrows and other weapons. But Vritrasura swallowed all their weapons. Imagine the demigods, the devas, this. As far as we're concerned, the supreme beings, in this universe. They're firing their divine astras, and Vritra is so powerful that he just swallows them. So naturally, the demigods were a little taken aback by that. Struck with wonder and disappointment upon seeing the strength of the demons, the demigods lost their own strength. That's interesting. They're very powerful, but because they became bewildered, so they lost their strength. Whatever strength they had was gone. This happens when we become fearful. Therefore, they all met together to try to please the Supersoul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, by worshiping him. So they realized they had no sufficient strength in themselves, and and at that point they turned to Narayan for help. They realized we can't do this. So the demigod said, the three worlds are created by the five elements, namely ether, air, fire, water, and earth, which are controlled by various demigods, beginning from Lord Brahma. Being very much afraid that the time factor will end our existence, we offer presentations unto time by performing our work as time dictates. The time factor himself, however, is afraid of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, let us now worship that Supreme Lord, who alone can give us full protection. So it reminds us of a verse in Brahma Samhita where, Samritakala Chakra, that the sun performs his duty by the order of time. Actually, in the material world, everyone's afraid of this time factor. It's very much fearful. We watch our life slipping by. We watch everything taken away from us by time. And by this dictation, we're working, certainly. And even the great demigods, they're also working. But in this situation, they're also very learned personalities. They're great scholars. They know the Vedas. Although they're materially motivated, they're not pure devotees. As Srila Prabhupada used to say, the demigods are devotees who want to enjoy the material world as devotees. That sound familiar? So this is generally the idea. We will worship God, but we want our place, we want our house, we want, in their case, they want their position. Indra is very attached to his position, as we see from various instances in the Bhagavatam. And therefore they're afraid, and they're offering these prayers. We can compare their prayers. Actually, the Bhagavatam is full of prayers. So full of prayers. Every time there's a good storyline happening, the Bhagavatam stops in the middle and offers prayers, right? And we think, what? We're just hearing this great story. Why are we? But the real point of the Bhagavatam is the prayers. That's the idea. It's not the storyline. Everyone knows the storyline already. Most of these pastimes are known to anyone that's listening. The important point really is the Bhagavatamrita, the nectar of the Bhagavatam is really the prayers of the devotees of the Lord, because in those prayers we get to understand their heart. And the essence of the Bhagavatam is to develop our relationship with Krishna and to hear how others love Krishna and what their relationship is with Krishna. So we hear in the next canto, Prahlad Maharaj was in a pretty fearful situation, even more fearful, and he had no potency whatsoever. He's just a little tiny boy, right? But did he offer any prayers like that? He didn't. He didn't, right? Didn't say, "Oh, Krishna, help." Not once. So there's a difference between these prayers. Although it's significant, we should turn to Krishna. This is the lesson here, that we can't do anything to save ourselves, actually. There's nothing we can do to save ourselves when it comes right down to it. But we see, so we should worship the Supreme Lord. We should serve the Supreme Lord, and we should have this understanding as the demigods are demonstrating here. But at the same time, we realize that those who are actually pure devotees of the Lord are not at all concerned. They are fearless, as Prabhupada mentions in this purport. And we'll come back to this. So, actually, let's continue. Srila Prabhupada's purport is very nice. He says, when one is afraid of being killed, one must take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is worshipped by all the demigods, beginning from Brahma, although they are in charge of the various elements of the material world. The words Bibeti Yasmat indicate that all the demons, regardless of how great and powerful, fear the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada would sometimes say that the atheists see God in the form of death. So they may say they don't believe in God or afraid of God, but everyone's afraid of death. So, although time factor is fearful to everyone, fear personified is afraid of the Supreme Lord, who is known as Abhay, fearless. Taking shelter of the Supreme Lord brings actual fearlessness. And therefore the demigods decide to take shelter of the Lord. Nice. So then the next verse, I guess this was the one we're going to read, correct? So I guess we'll just read the Sanskrit here and the purport. Avismitam tam paripurna kamam svenaiva labena samam prashantam vino pasarpat yaparam hibalisha swalangulena tititarti sindhu. So let's look at the words here. So, we'll read the verse and then we'll look at it. Free from all material conceptions of existence and never wonderstruck by anything, the Lord is always jubilant and fully satisfied by his own spiritual perfection. He has no material designations, and therefore he is steady and unattached. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is the only shelter of everyone. Anyone desiring to be protected by others is certainly a great fool who desires to cross the sea by holding the tail of a dog. This is amazing. Bhagavatam's so cool, isn't it? It's just, who would think of saying that such a thing? So Avishmitam, so the demigods, when they saw that Vritra had just swallowed all their weapons, they were like, they're blown, they had no idea. What do we do? What do we do now? They were wonderstruck, it said. So they want to praise that person who is never wonderstruck. Nothing throws him off. Right? He never loses his cool, so to speak. So they pray to the Lord in this way. They describe him as avismitam, one who is never struck by wonder. And paritipurna kamam, he's satisfied in himself. He's fully satisfied. This is very significant because the demigods, all the devotees, and very, very powerful, desire something. They're desirous of something in this material world, and therefore they're not paripurnam. They're not self-satisfied. They need stuff. They need their position. They need their royal opulence. They need companions. They need all of these things. Therefore, in spite of being devotees of the Lord, they're overcome by fear. And we can understand as long as we're attached to the material world and not satisfied with serving Krishna, it will also be plagued by fear. So this is very significant. But being devotees, they recognize this. When the time comes, they realize, oh, this is my problem. I'm attached. So they want to worship the Lord who is avismitam and parinipurna kamam, who is fully satisfied. It doesn't need anything. It's interesting, it's said here, by his own achievements. Swena eva labena. And equipoise, therefore. And prasantam, very steady or peaceful. Prasantam also means peaceful. It's translated here as steady, not movable. Then they say, Vina upasarpati aparam hi balisha. If anyone approaches anyone else for other than this supreme, self-satisfied, perfect person for shelter, they're very foolish. They what can they understand? Swa, like a dog, lagulena, grabbing the tail and want to cross the Sindhu, cross the sea. Srila Prabhupada's purport, a dog can swim in the water. Granted, a dog can swim in the water. Okay, good. But if a dog dives into the ocean and someone wants to cross the ocean by holding the dog's tail, he is certainly fool number one. A dog cannot cross the ocean, nor can a person cross the ocean by catching a dog's tail. Similarly, one who desires to cross the ocean of nescience should not seek the shelter of any demigod or anyone else, but the fearless shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, it said, Krishna says, Kamaistastar hृदय jnana prapadyante nyadevata. That those who have material desires, they have things that they want to fulfill. They generally take, he's mentioning the demigods, but of course in our world today, people aren't even intelligent enough to do that. They take shelter of other material things, business plans or wealthy people or something, in order to save themselves, basically, to achieve some kind of position, some kind of status in this world. So they may get some material. I think every temple in ISKCON has some very special microphones. Oh my God. We've got microphone karma, I think. Yeah. We're in the material world, yeah. Our plans. Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. Hare Krishna. Okay. Yeah, so, people, I was thinking also, this story of Vertrasser, I think everybody knows how the story ends, so I won't spoil it for anybody, right? Spoiler alert here. So, and we've only, probably most of us have only heard this story from Bhagavatam, but the story is throughout the Vedas. And Indra is glorified as the one who slayed Vritrasura, isn't it? The one who is this incredible demon, and Indra is so powerful, he slew him. And so throughout the Vedas, he's glorified as that person. But we have a completely different take on it, right? And Indra had a different take on it himself. He was like, "Oh, I'm not even a devotee. I'm just trying to protect my position. This person is a devotee." And Vritrasura says, "Yeah, I'm ready to go. Do your duty." So kamaista sarvita jnana. If we have material desires, generally the tendency is not to take shelter of Krishna for those things. Even though, Bhagavatam says, even if we have approached the Lord for material desires, whatever kama, savakama, va, moksha kama, udaradi, if we have a little brain substance, even if we have material desires, we should still approach the Supreme Lord. That's the best thing. And not rely on material things, and certainly not rely on demigods. So that's a huge lesson for us in this story. So similarly, one who desires to cross the ocean of nescience should not seek the shelter of any demigod or anyone else, but the fearless shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:1458 therefore says, Samashritaye padapallava plavam mahapadam punyasho marare bhavam buddhir vatsapadam param padam padam yad vipadam natesham. Famous verse. Srila Prabhupada was once asked, what does lotus feet mean? What do you mean by lotus feet? And he quoted this verse. Samashitaye padapallava plavam. The Lord's lotus feet are an indestructible boat. And if one takes shelter of that boat, he can easily cross the ocean of nescience. Consequently, there are no dangers for a devotee, although he lives within this material world, which is full of dangers at every step. One should seek the shelter of the all-powerful instead of trying to be protected by one's own concocted ideas. That's an interesting way to put it, huh? Instead of taking shelter of oneself, Prabhupada's, or taking shelter of something other, we're actually taking shelter of our own concocted ideas. It's just our mental projection that will take care of us. It's not, there's no substance. So this is such a beautiful verse, Padapallava plavam mahapadam punya shomarani. The whole universal creation takes shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. The whole creation is under the shelter of the Lord. So those who have taken shelter of Him, although this world is, what is it? It's like a great ocean. Bhavambudir, it's a great ocean. It becomes like Vatsapadam, like the water contained in a hoof print of a calf. Imagine the whole material world becomes so insignificant. It's like water in the hoof print of a calf. Param Padam is their destination, that supreme abode, not Padam Yad Vipadam, the place where there's danger at every step. Such a beautiful verse. So we can read these next verses in. The Manu named, the demigods are continuing their prayers to the Lord. The Manu, how are we doing on the time? Are we? Oh. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. We'll just go for the hook if I pull over time. The Manu named King Satyavrata formally saved himself by trying the small boat, by tying the small boat of the entire world to the horn of Matsya Avatar, the fish incarnation. That's interesting. He's just on a boat of the material world, but he's tying it to the horn of Matsya. So that's a nice example. We're very tiny, but we can grab onto Krishna and be pulled across the ocean. By the grace of the Matsya Avatar, Manu saved himself from the great danger of the flood. May that same fish incarnation save us from the great and fearful danger caused by the son of Trashta. Next verse. In the beginning of creation, the tremendous wind caused fierce waves and inundating water. The great waves made such a horrible sound that Lord Brahma almost fell from his seat on his lotus into the water of devastation. That's amazing. The beginning of the creation. Yeah, it's described that when Brahma came, he took birth at the beginning of the creation, and he saw the waters, the inundating waters that were just so powerful. Who can imagine what that would look like? So huge and devouring. So Brahma was so fearful that he almost fell from his lotus feet into the water. But he was saved with the help of the Lord. Thus we expect the Lord to protect us from this dangerous condition. I remember many times throughout my life when I'd reach some situation where it'd be like, oh, what now? Have you ever been in a situation like that? Life's going on, and then there's a reversal, and like, how will I make money? How will I support myself? How will things happen? And this thought would come, well, Krishna's always taken care of me before, but what about this time? I'm not so sure that this time he'll do it, although he always did in the past. Anyway, so the demigods are thinking like this also there. Krishna saved his devotees in so many ways, so he will protect us also. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who created us by his external potency, and by whose mercy we expand the creation of the universe, is always situated before us as the Supersoul, but we cannot see his form. We are unable to see him because all of us think that we are separate and independent gods. Wow, this is amazing. So although they're fearful, they, being devotees, they understand the situation. And they know that these bodies that I have, that's just the Lord's external energy. It's nothing. It's nothing for him. I've been reading Bhagavatam lately, and the point that comes up there again and again is that the Lord's real glory is his love for his devotees. That and the way, and the whole Bhagavatam is about the different kinds of loving relationships he has with his devotees and how much he loves them and how much they love him. That's the essence of Bhagavatam. And again in the purports there, Sanatana Goswami makes a point that this is the real greatness of the Lord, is his soft heart and how much he loves his devotees. This is the essence. This business of creating the material world, dissolving it, the creator, the controller, the Ishvara, that's not his glory. That's nothing. That's nothing for him. So they're also, the demigods are seeing like this also, that we have these bodies. It's just his energy. He doesn't have to do anything. Everything's svabhaviki jnana balakriyacha. Everything's done by his energy. He doesn't personally have to do anything. It's all done. And we also have our work that we're doing in this world. We're, secondary creators. We're maintaining this creation. Must be a hard job maintaining the creation, huh? Temple president. Imagine having a universe to maintain. How difficult that would be. We certainly have their headaches. Bhagavatam is full of stories. But they realize that we're not actually doing this. We don't have any potency to do what we're doing. If we're fortunate, we can realize that whatever we do is by the grace of the Lord. We have no independent potency. So they have this good fortune that they see this, at least in this circumstance, that it's all done by you, a super soul who are within our heart. Although we cannot see you, we know that you're the one that's actually doing the work. You're the one that's giving the dictation. You're the one that gives us the intelligence from within. Matasmitir jnanam apohanam cha. If I can remember where my car keys are, that's the grace of Krishna. That's the grace of Super Soul. Otherwise, I can't even do that. Right? This is all done by Krishna. Every breath we take, everything we do, is by the grace of the Lord. So they're pointing this out, but we can't see you. And why can't we see you? Because all of us think that we are separate and independent gods. I'm an enjoyer of this world. I'm meant to enjoy this world. So Krishna disappears. Okay, enjoy. We'll see you later when you wake up. When you realize you can't do anything. So, a couple more verses, I guess. By his inconceivable internal potency, the Supreme Personality of Godhead expands into various transcendental bodies as Vamanadev, the incarnation of strength among the demigods, Parshuram, the incarnation among saints, Nrsimhadev, and Varaha, incarnations among animals, and Matsya and Kurma, incarnations among aquatics. He accepts various transcendental bodies among all types of living entities. And among human beings, he especially appears as Lord Krishna and Lord Rama. By his causeless mercy, he protects the demigods who are always harassed by the demons. Don't forget, you took all of these incarnations to protect us, right? Right. Indradi Vakulam Lokam. Yeah. You have a mission here. We're your servants. So protect us. He is the supreme worshipable deity of all living entities. He is the supreme cause represented as the male and female creative energies. I guess that would be Shiva and Parvati. Although different from this universe, he exists in the universe in the form of Virata Rupa. He's separate, as he says in Gita, that I'm everything, I'm in everything, and yet I'm not. I'm separate. He's in everything, and yet he is separate. Chincha Veda Veda Tattva. In our fearful condition, let us take shelter of him, for we are sure that the Supreme Lord, the Super Soul, will give us protection. So that's the end of their prayers, and Shukadev Goswami concludes. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, "My dear king, when all the demigods offered their prayers, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari, carrying his weapons, conch shell, disc, and club, appeared first within their hearts, and then before them. Isn't that beautiful? So he appeared. So as we'll read in this section, that he actually kind of chastises them when he comes. He said, my pure devotees don't ever ask for anything. But you're asking, and I'm very kind, so here I am. And because they're fearful, he doesn't come as Krishna. He comes with his weapons, right? Because they're so afraid. Okay, I'm here. I've got my army, got my conch shell and my club and my disc, right? And this is nice. Actually, the Lord is within our hearts. And there's a nice verse in Brahma Samhita that says that those who are pure devotees actually see within their hearts the Lord. So by His grace, He manifests within the heart. And He can also manifest outside. So first of all, He appeared in their hearts, and then before them. Surrounding and serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, were 16 personal attendants. Yeah, He's not alone. He's got His weapons. He's got 16 personal attendants, decorated with ornaments and appearing exactly like Him. They all look just like Him. The residents of Vaikuntha look just like Krishna. They have that opulence, what's it called? Swarupya. Yeah. Where they look like Him, almost. He's got the Kaustubha jewel and the Srivats. So decorated with ornaments and appearing exactly like Him, but without the mark of Srivats and the Kaustubha jewel. O King, when all the demigods saw the Supreme Lord in that posture, smiling with eyes like petals of lotuses grown in autumn, they were overwhelmed with happiness and immediately fell down like rods, offering dandavats. Then they slowly rose and pleased the Lord by offering Him prayer. So as soon as they see the Lord, there's no more fear. They're not fearful. It's okay, you're here. Take care of the demon. They forgot all of the fear and fell down. He's so beautiful. That's such a nice description. His eyes like the petals of lotuses grown in autumn. So beautiful. So they simply forgot all danger and began to offer the Lord their prayers. And 8:31. Pretty good. So, Hare Krishna, thank you, dear devotees, for your company. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, we can ask some questions.
I don't know if I can answer your questions, but we can discuss. Or any thoughts? Anybody have any realizations on these points?
What do you feel that it is in that, or actually I'll share this from more of a personal experience. Whenever I come to these statements of the prayers, it's throughout the different stories, throughout Krishna book, throughout Bhagavatam, Gita, when Arjuna sees Krishna's opulence, there's something so just amazing about the prayers. It's like this fire lights up. All of the other stuff is just so the peak of the prayers, but it's inconceivable to describe why are the prayers so potent internally, yet the stories themselves really please our senses. And so I want to just ask, how do you receive that feeling, that just that yearning?
That's a wonderful realization that you experience the prayers like that. Not everybody does. these prayers are there because they're in that mood. The persons that are praying, they're not like, oh dear Lord, thank you for your bread, thank you for the daily bread. They're not those kind of prayers, right? They're seeing Krishna and they're blown away, right? They're just completely amazed. So so their prayers are actually full of those feelings. And you're fortunate to feel some of that, I think. So we have that good fortune. If we can receive those prayers in that way, then we can experience a little bit of what they're feeling. Is that kind of what you're asking? We get it. Yeah. Yeah, we get it through the Bhagavatam. If we can hear attentively, like Prabhupada always says, but just by hearing, absorbing ourselves in the hearing, we can enter into that. Yeah, that's the beauty of the Bhagavatam. We can enter into Krishna Lila, we can enter into these pastimes and experience them fully, or at least gradually as we keep reading, just by hearing. So, yeah, and their hearts, their emotions can touch ours. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Nice point.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Pranam. I have a when you mentioned about that, Srimad Bhagavatam is just prayer, story inside, like, only prayers. And that's what, like, first time realized, I realized from you that I didn't know that, the Bhagavatam is, I thought it's only story. and then when you say that, and oh my God, okay, that's 100%. Yeah, and then oh yes, that's prayers, So every time there are a lot of prayers over there, and that the same thing repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat everything to pray to God from all the devotees. And then I thought, what is Srimad Bhagavatam? What is that? Why there's no story, And then, and then I thought it's the story, but like at the same time, a lot of prayers over there.
Yeah.
And then when you mention that Srimad Bhagavatam is prayers, then yes, it's prayers. And so wonderful.
We won't be disappointed. If we're just looking for nice stories, we might be disappointed.
Yes. And this wonderful. Thank you so much, Professor.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's the significance of, anyway, yeah. Because most of these stories are heard elsewhere. I think there are some that are unique to Bhagavatam, but most of them are heard elsewhere. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Guru,
Hare Krishna.
I was thinking about this in the prayers the demigods were saying that the Lord is avishmita, that he's never wonderstruck, right? And then I was thinking, well, because they're praying to Lord Vishnu.
Vishnu, yeah.
So because and that we always hear that the first cantos of the Bhagavatam, cantos 1 to 9, they're like establishing that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the source of all incarnations. He's the origin of Vishnu. Yeah. So as in his Vishnu feature, then, okay, he's Avishmita. But then when we get to the 10th canto, we see how Krishna's Vismita. He's bewildered. Totally. I was thinking of how, like, when the cowherd boys enter the mouth of Agasura, and he's just standing there like, total wonder, just like, totally, like, as the British would say, gobsmacked, at how these boys just have total faith in him, and they just, like, they're going to walk into the jaws of death, It's like, no problem, Krishna's here, he's going to take care. Yeah. And, of course, he gets bewildered and wonderstruck by the love of his devotees so much that he can't understand it, that he has to come to experience it for himself. So, but if we only read the 10th canto and we saw how Krishna was, confused and bewildered and struck with wonder about things, we might think, oh, well, he's not omniscient. He doesn't understand
Yeah.
things. He gets bewildered. But so we see here that these qualities are emphasized, that he's never bewildered.
Right.
And the only reason and then it comes down to what you said about Brihad Bhagavatam, that his glories is not his greatness. His real glory is his love.
Yeah.
And that's what bewilders him,
Yeah.
is the love of his devotees.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that when you think about, the festivals that we celebrate, well, yeah, first of all, yeah, there's 9 cantos. Just to get this, Krishna's never bewildered. Krishna's never bewildered. He's the supreme, all-powerful personality of Godhead. He's not a little boy. Right? We have to get that first. We have to really understand that. But then when you come to Krishna, just consider the month of Kartik, right? Most of our festivals last one day, right? But we've got this one Leela where Krishna's Namam Ishwaram Satchit Ananda Rupam, the supreme Ishwara who's Satchit Ananda, is running in fear. We've got a whole month. We've got a whole month to just on that one Leela, to try to grasp this point now that he's, and the question, because actually I do a reading group with some devotees in China that I've known for many years, and so once a week I'm doing it, and many of them are very senior devotees, but they don't have some of these books. So right now we're reading Brihad Bhagavatam together, and we're in this section where Krishna's just completely bewildered, and it's a little bit of a struggle, for how is that possible? They're kind of having this question, and of course it's on one hand you can say it's made possible by Yoga Maya, right? Krishna does everything by his energy, so through his Yoga Maya principle, he arranges for this pastime. He becomes covered. Because it's, in other words, if he's like just pretending, where's the fun in that, right? He's afraid of Mother Yashoda. He's not pretending. Where is the fun for Krishna in that? So the understanding kind of that we can get from this is that this particular love, this particular relationship that he has with Yashoda or with Radharani or with the cowherd boys, this is the highest reality, is this love. And this love creates those relationships. And in that relationship, so even though there's no mother of God, right, he's the source of everything. Janma Yashe, is the source of everything. But there's a higher reality, which is the Lord's love, which creates these relationships and this bewilderment and all of these pastimes. So it really comes out in that book. And it's interesting, Srila Prabhupada says if we want to understand Krishna Bhakti and like that, we can read Brihad Bhagavatam. Thank you for...
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danat Pranam.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you mentioned that Krishna helped us in so many times when we were in difficulty. That you said, and then he will surely help when now we are going through so many difficulties, like practicing sadhana bhakti means not properly, getting association, not pro.
I'm sorry, I guess it's the mic, but I can hear sound, but I can't understand
Hare
exactly what
Krishna.
you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think if I caught her correctly, she was saying that you were talking about difficulties and how
Yeah.
Krishna will surely help when we experience difficulties, and that she was feeling like she's far away from devotee association, and sometimes it's difficult
Yeah.
and a struggle for her. Prabhu, if you hold the mic from the top, Prabhu,
Yeah.
hold it from the top. Otherwise, the receivers at the bottom creates feedback. Thank you.
And then he will surely help us because he already helped us in so many times, and he surely help us this time also.
Right.
And I was thinking maybe in the time of death also, it must be a very difficult time, that time to remember Krishna. That was my realization. And the question is, Prabhu, is desires are so many in our heart. Material desires are so many in our heart. Sometimes we become so overwhelmed. It will go away anytime. Means just I feel like that sometimes. How we can overcome that?
Please, could you tell me?
Yeah, so
I'm sorry, it's just
no, yeah, I think that there was it was breaking up. But if I understood you correctly, Mataji, you were saying that your question is that you're hoping that you mentioned that Krishna will help, and that at the time of death Krishna is there to help also, and then you were saying the question is that there's so many material